Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a prediction/preview video. I am Ian Nizzle, aka Ashton, and I am not alone. I am here with...
What's up, guys? VocalAggression here, and we're coming at you with Night of Champions predictions. Ashton, I don't know about you, but I am so amped up for this show. Sunday night, baby. It's going to be amazing.
Well, I gotta admit, I'm not super duper hyped up about this. I was extremely excited about SummerSlam. This has kind of left me feeling a little more meh, but it's still, there are one or two matches on this card that I'm looking forward to. So do you want to just get right into it, or do you have something that you want to preface this with?
Let's dive right in.
Alright, pre-show, number one contenders tag team turmoil match. 3MB versus the Real Americans versus the Usos versus PTP versus Sweet Tea and Brodus Clay. Thoughts?
Okay, well, my thoughts are as follows. If you're a fan of tag team wrestling like I am, then this pre-show match should give you hope, because it's been a long time since we've seen tag team turmoil. And really, if you think about it, Ashton,
I want to say Night of Champions 2010?
Yeah, how ironic. The last time we saw a tag team turmoil was at a Night of Champions event. I think you're right.
Hard.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that was when Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes, I believe, won the tag team titles, if I'm not mistaken.
They won them off of the Hart Dynasty, didn't they?
Yes, that's correct.
Was it the Hart Dynasty or was it the Usos? I don't remember.
It was the Hart Dynasty.
Okay, that's right.
Yes. So if you're like me, this match gives you hope, because really, to me, about this tag team turmoil, unlike the one in 2010, I would consider every team in this to be a legitimate team, even Real Americans, because I just love how they gel together. I love the packaging, the presentation. I'm very happy about this. I'm a huge fan of tag team wrestling, and you know who I'm pulling for in this. I want the Usos to win. They had an amazing showing with the Shield at Money in the Bank. I want them to get a rematch with Rollins and Reigns, and more importantly, I want them to go on and be the tag team champions. But I think, unfortunately, even though the Usos are who I want to win, unfortunately, I think the primetime players are the team that is going to win, as much as it kills me to say that. They've been on quite the hot streak, conveniently after Darren Young's admission that he is gay, and I think WWE is really going to want to capitalize on that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think that just kind of stepping back and looking at the big picture here, you can eliminate two teams right off the bat, 3MB and the Real Americans. Why? Heels. Simple as that. You're not going to put a heel team against Shield on the regular card, and we'll get to that match later. But so that really narrows it down to three teams: Usos, PTP, and Sweet Tea and Brodus Clay. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of by default eliminate Brodus Clay and Tensai, if you're okay with that. Because
absolutely.
They've been so irrelevant, it's almost hysterical. So it really does just come down to the Usos and PTP, and they need to get better tag teams, because none of these the only tag team in this match that genuinely entertains me and that I would want to see in, just for example, a best of 5 series with the Shield is Jack Swagger and Antonio Cesaro. But like I said, they're heels. They're not going to give them a shot at the heel champion, so that just doesn't make sense. So yeah, I guess honestly, if I had to choose between the Usos and PTP, I'd probably prefer PTP. I'm probably going to get a little bit of heat for this, but at the end of the day, I don't like the Usos that much. They're okay in the ring. They don't talk really much at all. They're very generic in my eyes. They're extremely generic. They added the face paint. They have the cool dance at the beginning. But if the most over thing about you is the entrance and not something that you do in the ring or on the mic, that tells me that you're just not that good. And PTP, I can't stand Titus O'Neil. I've been on the record saying this for years. I think he is green and uncoordinated and a horrible talker. Darren Young's a great worker in the ring. He can't talk either. But now it's one of those things where the WWE wants to ride the media train, the hype train. Darren Young came out as gay. He was featured on TMZ. He was on the Ellen DeGeneres show. He is, in a sense, getting the Miz push. The Miz did his movie, he got his push. Even before that, The Miz was super popular. He was on all kinds of talk shows. He got the WWE title out of it. Now Darren Young came out as gay. He's getting all this media attention, and they're going to give him a push to keep him on TV as much as possible. I could ultimately even see them winning the tag titles, but like I said, we'll get to that later. So I'm going to say want and expect both PTP for me.
Ashton, before we move on to the next matchup, should we at least discuss even a little bit the possibility that Los Matadores could be in this tag team turmoil, or do you just not see that happening?
Dude, I would be so happy if they debuted and won this match. I know nobody knows this yet. As far as the people that are listening to this video, John knows it, and the people around me know it. But I am so looking forward to Los Matadores, and that's how I say it every time. I can't.
I love that. I love it.
I love it. Look, these guys, it's Epico and Primo. I'm sure you all knew that, but I felt the need to extrapolate just in case somebody was listening and had no clue. And these guys are incredibly fluid in the ring. They're excellent workers. They can't talk, but guess what? They're going to have masked characters, so they won't need to talk. I love it. These guys were these are honestly one of my favorite tag teams to watch in the ring from the last 5 years or so. And now they're getting a gimmick, they're getting a push, and I genuinely hope that if whatever team wins Tag Team Turmoil doesn't go on to win the tag titles, I hope Los Matadores does.
You know what, dude? Let me just comment real quick on Los Matadores. Sorry, that's the best I can do. But for the longest time, I have been so high on Epico and Primo. When they had their tag team title run, I said that they were the best tag team in WWE.
Toss in Hunico in that mix, too, because we all kind of thought that they were going to end up forming a stable.
Oh, what could have been, my friend. What could have been.
Yep.
But real quick, before we move on to the next matchup, I do think that this gimmick, I've been kind of iffy on it, but you know what? As we draw closer and closer, I'm happy about it. One, because it keeps Epico and Primo afloat. It does, and I want to keep seeing these guys on my TV, and it does give them a personality.
Man.
It has. It really has. These guys with this gimmick are going to, excite, electrify, all that stuff. They're going to be a great tag team, and I do see another tag team championship reign in their future. But for the time being, I don't think they're going to make their presence felt just yet, even though the iron is hot.
No,
but
I'm expecting them to debut at either between now and Battleground or at Battleground.
Yeah, definitely. It's not time just yet. I could see them doing it like maybe on a SmackDown 2 weeks before Battleground, someplace like that. So for now, unfortunately, I do think the PTP are going to win it, and we will talk about the tag title match later. Though I would kill to have the Usos win, but that's my thoughts on that.
Okay, so are we in agreement that we both think that PTP is going to win this match?
Yes.
Okay, end of story. Moving on. Let's see here. Do you just want to get right into the tag title match to get that out of the way?
We might as well.
Okay, There we go. Shield versus the winner of the Tag Team Turmoil match. At this point, since we are both predicting that it's going to be PTP, we're just going to kind of move on under the assumption that they won Tag Team Turmoil. And I think Shield retains.
And I disagree. I think PTP are going to win the tag titles. My reasoning behind this, and you and I kind of talked about this, is I feel like setting up Turmoil, it kind of establishes that the babyface team is struggling. They've already had a match. If you want to be technical, they've had multiple matches against virtually every legitimate team in their division. Then they go on and face the Shield, these Hounds of Justice, with quite an impressive resume of names that they've knocked off. It sets up a great David versus Goliath kind of atmosphere.
I don't want to cut you off, John, but I do want to throw this out there. I don't necessarily think the Shield is going to win. I just think they're going to retain.
Okay, I see what you're driving at. I could see that, but
as usual,
yes.
Business as usual for the Shield, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. I get what you're driving at.
Unless someone randomly comes out, and it won't happen because Triple H is running the show, but unless someone comes out and says that if Dean Ambrose interferes, he automatically loses his U.S. title or something like that, and that won't happen because every authority figure is heel, so it won't happen.
Right. That could definitely be happen because of the current administration. We have the corporation, so that's a distinct possibility. I just feel like they're setting up the story of this babyface team scratching and clawing, and the Shield have been so dominant. They've held on those titles since what, Ash? Extreme Rules back in May. So
was it Extreme Rules?
I believe it was Extreme Rules. They knocked off Team Hell No.
Yeah, you're right. Yep, that's when all three of them won their titles.
Exactly. So they've all been champions since May.
So 4 whole months, big deal.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand
I personally think that we're going to see a 5 to 7 month. I'm going to say 6, just to kind of even things out. I'm predicting that they'll lose their titles at Either Survivor Series or TLC.
And that would be wonderful, but I just can't help but shake the feeling that one member of the Shield, whether it be the tag titles or Dean Ambrose later, which we'll get to, is going to lose their championship. So I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to say PTP overcomes the odds.
Okay, and see that I completely disagree with you. The way I see it, all three members are going to lose their titles on the same night. And that is going to be one of the driving forces to cause them to have a wedge driven between them, because now it's like there's an old saying in football, everything's okay while you're winning. You know, and while they're winning, it's like, hey, we have this team unity, and then as soon as all three of them lose their titles, and it's like, holy crap, we're not that great, maybe we shouldn't be, maybe we're bad for each other, you know what I mean? It's a driving force to separate them. I honestly believe that one of the matches at WrestleMania is going to be a triple threat match, the three members of the Shield going against each other.
That'll be insane.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's my official WrestleMania prediction, is a triple threat match between Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns going at each other's throats. So that means that they'll need to split up anytime around like December, January, maybe Extreme or Elimination Chamber, February at the latest.
And everything you just said, not only does it hold merit, I mean, it just makes perfect sense. To me, my reasoning would be if say, one member of the Shield does lose their championship, let's say for the sake of argument, the tag team champions, and Dean stands alone on his mountain because Dean Ambrose is amazing. There's that egoism that begins to develop, like, oh, you guys couldn't hold it up, but I did. And, we're a unified force, so let's just keep the one championship we have. And you see that wedge, that egoistic wedge. But I really, again, I think your points absolutely have merit. I feel one part of the Shield is going to really break down tomorrow night at Night of Champions. Okay.
Well, that's first time we've disagreed. We're 1 for 2. I think Shield retains. You think PTP wins the titles. Let's move on. Do we want to go Divas title or handicap match or United States title? You know what? Shield, let's stick with the theme. United States Championship match, Dolph Ziggler versus Dean Ambrose. I have Dean Ambrose retaining. I'm sure you do too.
Yes. To go along with my analysis, Dean Ambrose is definitely retaining.
Oh, how far Ziggler has fallen.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Rumor has it he said something or tweeted something that set wrong with the upper brass in the WWE, and now they're making him pay for it. But here's my thing. If he's really in the doghouse, why is it that he's still on TV every week? Normally twice a week. He's on every Raw and SmackDown. The guys that he loses to are top guys, like freaking Ryback, and that's after a beatdown from Ambrose. And now he's getting a title shot at a pay-per-view. How is that in the doghouse? Just because he's been demoted from upper card to upper mid-card, I don't think that that's being in the doghouse. I think that that's just, trying to let him cool off, because he was freaking hurt for, a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're trying to let him cool off, and then in 3 to 5 months they'll give him a new push, maybe towards the World Heavyweight title. I don't know who's going to hold it at that point. Probably Damian Sandow, but that'll probably be Cody Rhodes. But regardless, they're going to wait a few months and then start pushing him again. They might even wait until after WrestleMania to give him another push. But I'm perfectly okay with this as long as he keeps getting his weekly, or bi-weekly, I should say, because he's on, like I said, every Raw, every SmackDown matches to entertain us all.
And I can agree. I mean, look, my sentiments about the whole world title fiasco that revolved around Ziggler between the concussion and then dropping it to Del Rio and then not even getting it back. I do think it's a travesty. I do think, that Dolph Ziggler is one of the most talented men that we have. That being said, the selfish wrestling fan in me, rears his ugly head and he says, who cares about Ziggler? The real winner in this match is me, because we get to see him and Dean Ambrose kill each other for the U.S. Championship. Two amazing workers going at it. So really, I think we're all winners in this one. That's my prediction. But
I couldn't agree with you more on that. It's going to be... I genuinely hope Ambrose pulls out the lariat in this match, because he doesn't use that nearly enough, and Ziggler would sell it like a beast.
I hope these guys get 15 minutes, Ashton. I'm just going to come out and say it. I really do hope... They could
steal the show. They could steal it. Well, Brian Orton's going to be the best match, but after that...
No, definitely. No, after that, Ziggler and Ambrose have a viable chance to really grab the brass ring of a show stealer. Just give these guys 15 minutes. Don't have the ref get too involved. Try and I mean, just let these guys loose. Let these guys loose and do what they do best. And I will say this.
And you know what? I'm guaranteeing that the Shield is gonna interfere at the finish.
Oh, definitely, because that's the Shield.
So if they get 15 minutes and then the Shield interferes, that's cool. But if the Shield interferes after 5 minutes, I might be a little bit angry.
Oh, I'll be ticked. Yeah. I mean, absolutely, because these two guys, they're like a fine wine, and they're going at it, and it's really a special spectacle when you see two guys of their caliber really locking it up. I want to see them just cut loose. And let me just say one more point in regards to Ziggler. Whether it's the doghouse or just the circle of life or whatever you want to call it that's happening to Dolph, I just want him to go out there, steal the show, give it a few months, and he'll be back in his spot. Because he does deserve to be in the World Heavyweight Championship picture, and I'll stand by that. I think RVD's done okay in his spot, and we'll get to him later. But Ziggler, to me, was primed to be the man in that particular division, and I just really want to see him get back there. So we'll see what happens. But for now, Dean Ambrose for the win.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's see here. We'll go with Divas Championship. Natalya, Naomi, Brie Bella, AJ. Who's your pick?
I'm very much looking forward to this match.
Really?
Yes, I am, because for the following reasons. One, it's AJ, and I really believe that she's been lighting the division up with her remarks, her comments.
Yeah. You know what? I think I might be letting my dislike for the Bella Twins kind of cloud my view, because at the end of the day, if you discount the Bella slut, you have freaking Natalya Neidhart, Naomi, who in my opinion is extremely underrated and definitely the Funkadactyl that deserves this spot by miles, if not freaking light years. And of course AJ Lee's amazing. So, I mean, if I can just mentally block it, and you know what? I even got to give Brie Bella credit. She's been much better over the last month or so.
Yeah, Brie Bella has definitely improved. Naomi,
I just don't want to see Nikki.
Yeah, Nikki to me is awful. I mean, I really do feel bad about her injury, but, it happens to the best of us. I mean, look at what happened to a great like Edge. On top today, gone tomorrow. So, you can't let injuries ruin what you're enjoying about the product. That said, though, what I'm focused on about this match are those three women. You've got Naomi, the young upstart, really finally getting her chance. Because I'm not really big on the Funkdactyls, mostly because Brodus Clay is just not in the same place where he was when he debuted. You thought, I mean, when Brodus Clay debuted, I thought he'd be, honestly, a mid-card champion by now at least, but he's not, and that makes the Funkdactyls suffer. So to see Naomi get her own separate spotlight, to me, is fantastic.
Yep.
You have Natalya. I love Natalya, and I am pulling for her so hard. It's like, I'll be genuinely upset if she loses, because I'm tired of her getting the shaft. You're talking about an amazingly talented woman. Her lineage speaks for itself, and she deserves better than what she's gotten. She's only been a one-time Divas champion. The reign wasn't even that memorable, especially considering who she lost the belt to.
Yep.
It's ridiculous to me. And then you have AJ, and I love AJ. There are times, I would like to really pop her in the face. I'm not going to lie, because she really gets under your skin at times. But when she's done commentary with, Michael Cole and JBL, or Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole, the Raw and SmackDown commentaries, when she's watching her three competitors, and she talks about how she wants the Divas division to matter. She wants the women to be empowered. She wants competition. She wants respect. That means a lot to me, because I do want us to get to a point where when a Divas match is on a pay-per-view or Raw or SmackDown, you and I don't look at each other and be like, oh, I'll be back in 5. I want us to stay put, to watch, to indulge, to appreciate, and I feel like AJ is making that happen. She is such a phenomenal performer. I feel like she has personality.
Dude,
she has an edge.
Her lines on commentary the other night, freaking Jerry Lawler, that was hilarious.
No, she killed it. She absolutely killed it.
Oh, hey, AJ, do you have any other tattoos? Oh, sorry, Jerry, I'm too young for you. Or I'm too old for you, I'm 26. I think you like them a little younger. I was like, oh, she got him there.
He so gets burned. And
dude, I freaking hate how they treat her on commentary. They treat her like she is this little little brat, basically. They treat her like she is dumb, jealous, psycho. Like, they talk down to her constantly. They're asking her if she's jealous all the time. Like, seriously, I understand that she's supposed to be a heel, but maybe treat her. Would they ask if, put it this way, say, name a random heel that's chasing a title.
Well, no, Randy Orton isn't the chaser, neither is Del Rio. Who is chasing a title?
That's right, never mind. All of the champions
are heels, yeah.
Okay, well, let's just say that randomly, back when John Cena was champion, right? Let's say Ryback was out of commentary. Do you seriously think that Michael Cole and the boys would have asked Ryback if he was jealous of John Cena's success? No! They would have been freaking horrified of him. But, of course, AJ is like 5'4", so they talk down to her like she's some little child, and it's ridiculous.
No, it is ridiculous. AJ deserves more respect, first of all. Second of all, she's a heel. Why should jealousy even be...
And actually, you know what? I don't know why I said chasing. AJ Lee is the champion. So, better yet, Dean Ambrose was just on commentary on SmackDown. Did they talk down to him? Did they ask him, even though he is the champion, if he was jealous of anyone? No!
No, that Michael Cole was so intimidated, and I loved Ambrose. He's like, relax, Michael. You're safer than you've ever
never been. Safer. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I just can't stand the way they speak. They did talk down to AJ Lee on commentary, like because she prefers wrestling over TV shows, that she isn't worthy of their time or something. It's retarded. It's ridiculous. I can't stand it.
I hope her and Paige team up. I've gone on the record and I've said this.
Yeah, that's a freaking...
Yeah, I feel like they'd make a great tandem. I do.
That's a pipe dream if I've ever heard one.
Dude, you know what's a friggin' pipe dream? Anybody who wanted Layla and AJ to team up, and then it happened.
You mean... Wait, you mean LayJ?
Don't ever. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, Ashton. LayJ. That hurt me. I've been hurt.
You'll get over it. Put a Band-Aid on it.
I will. Ice now, heat later. No, I say that because of, I think, the Twitter pic that either you shared with me or I got on a wrestling website of AJ and Paige together with their championships.
Yeah.
And it would just be an amazing way for Paige to debut because, look, she's an amazing babyface over in NXT. And I feel like she could be an amazing babyface on the main roster.
But dude, I think that she would be more of a great heel in the roster. I mean, you got to realize that the NXT arena is a bunch of close-knit, hardcore WWE and wrestling fans all together. It's basically every post-WrestleMania Raw crowd, except they just show up every week, so they don't have quite the energy to be that enthused every single time.
Right.
Like, it is the hardcore... Like, if you're going to a WWE developmental show, it's not on accident. You're going there because you want to see NXT. Like, that's something that you or I would go to, not something that Joe Blow up in the frickin' 20th row would do.
No, absolutely, dude. You're absolutely right. And I feel like, their appreciation of that, gives people like AJ and Paige, the legitimate wrestling fans who appreciate the craft and appreciate the stories, a legitimate shot to gain the respectability that I think has been sorely lacking in their division for the longest time. I just want these 4 women to kill it. And yes, that even includes Brie Bella, who admittedly, even though I'm not big on either one of the Bellas, Brie seems to have improved in ring a little bit.
And even, like, here's a confessional. I watch Total Divas. OMG. Yeah, even on Total Divas, Brie seems like the cooler twin of the two. She's not a freaking jerk.
Daniel Bryan is good for everyone.
Daniel Bryan is amazing. Regardless, whether we're talking about in the ring, on the mic, in real life, on the reality show, I don't care. Daniel Bryan is the man.
That is epic. I can't wait to talk about him later. But yeah, Ashton, I think to give an official prediction, I think AJ's going to retain, and I don't mind it, but I'm not going to hide it, brother. I want Natalya to cinch her second Divas Championship.
Well, I'm going to say 100% AJ will not retain her title. I'm guessing they're going to put it on Natalya. I'm hoping they're going to put it on Natalya. It makes the most sense for them to put it on Natalya because she seems like the only babyface out of the entire Total Divas cast. And she was unrightfully insulted by AJ when she cut her pipe bomb a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to throw it out there. Natalya is going to be her own martyr and accept the unnecessary insults from AJ and in return take her Divas title.
Oh, I love it. Yes. Hope so, man. Hope so.
So that's my official prediction. Natalya, yours is AJ retaining. Are we ready to move on?
Yes, we're ready to move on.
Okay. You know what? This match isn't as important as the handicap match, so let's talk about it next. Rob Van Dam versus Alberto Del Rio, World Heavyweight title.
Oh, boy. You and I are in interesting camps for this match. I'll come right out and say it right away before we get into the other stuff. I'll kind of work backwards. I think Del Rio is going to retain via Ricardo Rodriguez screwjob to Van Dam.
Yeah. See, we talked about this the other night. I haven't changed my mind. I disagree with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a very interesting discussion between Ashton and myself regarding this matter because he feels like...
Well, now, you know what? Let's do this. You present your case, and then I'll present mine, and then we'll discuss.
I feel like, and Friday night on SmackDown, which if anybody hasn't seen it, I guess I'll say spoilers ahead, but I'm going to reference that too with my case. You know, Alberto Del Rio has mistreated Ricardo in the past as a heel. This is nothing new. Perhaps the assault was a bit more extensive than what we've seen in the past, but we have seen, mistreatment from Alberto Del Rio to his employee, Ricardo. So to me, that's not enough to say, oh, why would Ricardo, go back? Because we've seen this kind of treatment before. Secondly, the pairing has just never struck me as genuine. In fact, it's always been odd to me of Ricardo and Rob Van Dam. Like, yes, Van Dam is a terrible talker. I don't think he's that entertaining in that regard. Like, his athleticism is his product, pretty much. But I don't think Ricardo has added that much dimension to RVD. I just don't think the pairing works. And, third, I think WWE knows what they have with Ricardo and Del Rio, and I don't think they want to break that up anytime soon. I could really see them having a lot of longevity together. I honestly really couldn't see them separating until Ricardo is ready to debut, maybe under a masked gimmick or something, because we know he trains down in NXT, and he's doing his own training, and he has his own stable, and he's doing all this wrestling-related stuff. And I think this Friday just confirmed it for me, because Ricardo lost a match to Del Rio, and now he won't be allowed to be in Van Dam's corner at Night of Champions, so I could see it the typical booking, turning point in the matchup, maybe Van Dam's on the top rope, Ricardo either straddles the rope or distracts the referee or something, Del Rio capitalizes, he wins. So, what is your case, Ashton?
Well, my case is a little bit different. I have a question. Do you remember the exact date or how many weeks ago it was that Ricardo returned with RVD?
What was that, like 3 weeks ago, it feels like?
August 19th episode of Raw, he was with RVD. Okay. Now, I'm kind of piecing together a little bit of I guess you could call it a conspiracy theory here. So I already told you, and now I'll tell everyone else, my official prediction is RVD wins clean, because no job Rob. No other explanation needed. But, here's the thing. I think Damien Sandow cashes in, and Ricardo screws RVD for Damien.
Really?
And do you want to know why?
I'd love to know why. I didn't see this coming.
August 19th, Ricardo shows up with RVD. August 23rd, Damien Sandow tweets that he fired Ignatius.
Ooh. And they made a note of it on commentary, too, at one point.
Yep.
May have been that same. Damn, you're clever.
I literally, while you were talking, I was looking this stuff up to piece it together. And it's within 4 days of each other. That's close enough to me. I have a 5-day rule.
Oh, by the way, I didn't mention my biggest selling point, so if I could just backtrack a little bit and go back to my... Yeah. When the whole beatdown occurred between Del Rio and Ricardo, who did Del Rio lose to? RVD. So I feel like Ricardo, to repent for his failure, is going to get close to RVD. And I know you mentioned, well, John, why wouldn't he just screw him out of the contendership match that RVD had? And I said, well, they're heels. By the book, a heel wants to hurt the babyface as deeply as possible. Screw somebody out of...
No. By the book, the heel wants to win in any way possible. They don't have personal vendettas unless the guy cost them a match. And RVD didn't cost Alberto Del Rio a match. He just beat him.
True, but maybe Del Rio is jealous because, his whole gimmick is being this aristocrat, this whole, icon versus people and this and that, and then RVD comes in and steals the fanfare.
I appreciate the creativity. I don't understand why Ricardo Rodriguez would befriend Rob Van Dam, become his personal ring announcer, rub it in Alberto Del Rio's face, and position himself as RVD's manager while RVD is winning his way to the world title, only to turn on RVD and go back to Del Rio. That sounds very Russo-esque to me, and it makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, the only story similar to this that I can think of is when the World Heavyweight Championship came to Raw in 2002. Eric Bischoff gave it to Triple H, and ironically enough, Van Dam was the first challenger. It was at the Unforgiven pay-per-view. And in the weeks leading up to it, we had a separate story going on of Ric Flair being downtrodden, washed up, being beaten by the likes of Rico, And then Triple H is rubbing it in his face, saying, you're losing to people that are pathetic, that don't even deserve to walk on the same ground as you. What happened to you? Blah, blah, blah. So he's really riding Flair here, and Van Dam's come to his defense. We get to Unforgiven. Van Dam looks like he's about to win. We have a ref spot. Flair comes out with the sledgehammer. Looks like he's going to clean Triple H's clock. Hits Van Dam in the abdomen. Triple H nails the pedigree, and we see the beginning of Evolution.
Right. So, I understand that, but at the same time, Flair didn't intentionally position himself with RVD. RVD just came to his defense. Those are two completely different things. Ricardo Rodriguez legitimately positioned himself as RVD's manager in this case, or personal ring announcer, or whatever you want to call it. It's not like it was just a thing that happened to go on. It's not like, RVD came out to save Ricardo Rodriguez while Del Rio was beating him down just to be a nice guy. That didn't happen. Ricardo was gone for a couple of weeks, and then he re-debuted with RVD.
Yeah, that is true. And, to be honest, all these conspiracy theories aside, I can't stop thinking about what you just said about Sandow and Rodriguez. I really like that. I'm sorry.
I think, here's my thing. At every Night of Champion for the last 4 or 5 years, 2 title changes have happened. You've predicted 1, PTP. I've predicted 0. So, actually, I've predicted 1 if you count the Divas title. So we'll throw that in there. So I need 1 more, and I don't think the WWE title is going to change hands. So I'm going to put this one, and I think this one's going to change hands twice, really.
I can't wait for Sandow's reign. But I guess 2 more comments before we move on. I just wanted to really praise both guys, actually. I know you're not big on Van Dam. To me, I feel like this is the best way WWE could have used him since he's come back.
Right, and I don't have a personal problem with Rob Van Dam.
Right.
He's good in the ring. I never really thought he was good on the mic, but he's good in the ring. He's exciting to watch in the ring. The problem I have is the people that put him on this ridiculous pedestal, as if he is the holy inventor of high flying. No one did it before him. He is simply the best. No one can touch him as a high flyer. And combine that with this whole no job Rob thing, where it kind of, life imitating art, he never frickin' loses. He came back, and I think he came back in August, and I think he's lost 1 match since then. So, those things combine, and I just have a natural disdain. But it's not him that I have a problem with. Right. It's everything surround. It's the same thing with John Cena. It's the same thing with John Cena. I don't hate John Cena. What I hate is people that act like he is wrestling's freaking devil or antichrist. And on the other hand, I hate that he's constantly winning matches that he doesn't need. So it's pretty much the exact same thing, maybe a little bit opposite on the fan side, because I dislike the people that hate him for no reason whatsoever.
Right.
And then with Rob Van Dam, I dislike the people that put him up on a pedestal. It's very different there, but it's similar situations. I don't hate the guy, I hate the situation.
Also, just one last comment, because I said both guys. I've been enjoying Del Rio's reign. I've been waiting for this reign from Del Rio. Honestly, I thought we were going to see this kind of reign. I did expect him, foolishly at the time, to overcome Sheamus at one point. When Sheamus was champion, I was a huge fan of their feud as well.
See, to me, that would have been the time to give him the title. Don't have him take it off Dolph, although that double turn was freaking brilliant. Dolph didn't get anything out of it, and even though Del Rio got immense heat that first night, no one cares anymore. No one cares about Alberto Del Rio anymore. He's supposed to be this at least second-level top heel, because obviously the top heel in the company right now is the freaking corporation and that whole entity as a whole. But even if he's supposed to be the second best heel in the company, no one cares. The second best heel in the company right now is probably freaking Dean Ambrose himself, or Damian Sandow even.
Right. No, I would agree, but like you with Van Dam, where you said the blame doesn't go on Van Dam, I can't necessarily blame Del Rio for that. I just, something about the Ziggler Del Rio feud, I feel like they took a misturn, and then everything kind of went down, at least in my opinion. I feel like, I don't know, there was more gas in that feud, and they just didn't bother to use it, and they just wanted to move on. I do think these guys have good chemistry in terms of in-ring. I have enjoyed their matches. It'll be interesting to see what they do at Night of Champions, if they pull out anything new, from the bag. I do see Del Rio, let's see, because the next pay-per-view action is Battle.
He can do 2 somersaults before he flips.
I saw what you did there. So the next pay-per-view after this action is what? Battleground, and then after that would be Hell in a Cell.
Yep, Battleground, Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, TLC, and then we're back to the road to WrestleMania.
I'm calling it right now. I see Del Rio dropping his title at Hell in a Cell, perhaps to a face, and then we see Sandow cash in, and then we see all that stuff. But yeah, I've enjoyed Del Rio's reign thus far. I think his work with Christian was fantastic, and I'm enjoying the stuff with Van Dam. Really happy to see him, I guess, finally hitting his heel stride. I, just like you, though, I see the people don't care as much as I would like them to, but I'm enjoying it for my book, so, all's good. We'll see what happens.
See, and I see Sandow walks away with the title tonight. Or, yeah, well, I guess it technically is tonight, because this video probably won't go up until after midnight anyway. So we'll just go with tonight.
Yeah.
And he goes again. We're probably going to get a triple threat between him, RVD, and Alberto Del Rio at Battleground. Sandow slithers his way out. Hell in a Cell, 1-on-1, RVD versus Sandow. I could see RVD winning the title there. Maybe not. I don't know. But regardless, I just feel like Del Rio needs to chill out. Do you know, and I just read this on frickin' Reddit today, and for those of you who are sighing right now, I told you I was on Reddit every frickin' day. But yeah, I read on Reddit today that Alberto Del Rio has been every single World Heavyweight Championship pay-per-view match this year. Every one. And the only pay-per-view that didn't have a World Heavyweight Championship match, it was because it was a number 1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship match, and that was between Del Rio and Swagger, so he was still involved. Every pay-per-view.
Wow.
He is the heel John Cena.
Yeah.
He is Juan Cena.
Juan Cena. I enjoy Del Rio. I enjoy the aggression. I enjoy the intensity, but I also like new feuds and this and that. And as far as Van Dam goes, if he's going to win the title only to fall to Sandow, that's one thing. I don't think this guy should have a championship reign under his belt during his run, unless we're talking maybe an Intercontinental title reign.
Are we talking about RVD?
Yes, we're talking about RVD.
Yeah, and see, I could see him just being the transition from Del Rio to Sandow, because that would get huge heat for Sandow.
Yeah, no, and I agree. Like, that to me is acceptable. But if we're talking about, like, a legitimate reign for Van Dam, I'm not interested.
Yeah, I see where you're going there. I just don't know how we can get out of it.
I don't either. It's a hopeless situation.
Unless just randomly Cody Rhodes has... I don't expect Cody Rhodes to come back until Survivor Series either.
Oh, wow. Cody will have a lot of time to enjoy that honeymoon.
Well, but that's the thing, though. Who, as a babyface on SmackDown, or in the world title picture, I should say, would challenge Sandow if it's not Cody Rhodes, who is... maybe he just faces RVD and keeps retaining the title until Cody Rhodes comes back.
Do you want me to give you an honest answer to your question? Because this is what I've been fearing. Okay. And maybe that's why they have certain Money in the Bank holders lose so many matches to set up potential feuds. I could see Sandow Christian. I could see Sandow, and this is where it gets painful, Sandow Miz. I could see Sandow Santino.
Oh, come on.
I know. It hurts me too, but WWE would find a way. They found 2 ways that I...
Let's just, pump the brake, put the car in reverse, and back up a little bit. Let's just stick with Sandow Christian. That's a 2 pay-per-view feud at worst.
Yeah, and that's a 2 pay-per-view feud I would love to see.
Right. So, I
So-
mean, if that gets us to Damian Sandow versus Cody Rhodes in a tables, ladders, and chairs match at TLC, I'm okay with it.
Oh, I'm more than okay with that. That sounds fantastic. And maybe get Dolph in there too, if we can find a way too. So then we
Okay,
really
now you're asking for too much.
not in that match. I'm just saying in Sandow's reign, so that we can avoid
right.
like.
So
Miz
you're
and
basically
Cena.
saying that he's going to be defending against one guy per month.
That works for me as long as we avoid the marquee that I am dreading may possibly happen.
Is
Potentially Miz versus Sandow at one point, or
oh god, yeah, Santino. I heard that part too. You don't need to say it again. Okay. So you think Del Rio retains via
Yes.
Ricardo? I think that Del Rio loses to RVD, who then loses to Sandow via Ricardo. Or another possibility is Ricardo helps RVD retain, and then Del Rio beats down Ricardo and walks out, and then Sandow cashes in.
that'd be interesting. Yeah,
I can
definitely.
see that happening. Either one, regardless, I'm thinking Sandow walks out tonight with the world title.
Oh, I'd mark so bad.
And you think Del Rio retains, so we're going to just end it there. Okay, handicap elimination match. CM Punk versus Heyman and Axel.
Don't hate me.
Yeah, is this in a steel cage or not?
No, it's not. It's just
I
regular
feel like this should be in a steel cage.
Don't hate me for what I'm about to say. I don't care about this nearly as much as I should.
Really?
It's all Curtis Axel's fault, and that's the problem.
It is. But I'm not looking at this as a Curtis Axel match. I'm looking at this as CM Punk trying to drive his frickin' Prius maybe through a brick wall to get to Paul Heyman.
Yeah. And that is the selling point of this. Like Paul Heyman, if anybody saw Paul Heyman's promo on this past SmackDown, which was wonderful, using reverse psychology, saying boycott Night of Champions because if you order it, you're going to see Punk break my face. Like, that's the selling point of this match. It's not about Curtis Axel isn't even a variable. This is about Punk finally getting his comeuppance against Paul Heyman. That's what this is about.
Which he won't.
And that's my thing, which he won't. Which begs the question, is a new Paul Heyman guy going to emerge from the shadows?
Oh, Corey Graves, baby!
So many people are saying Matt Morgan, dude. I would love Corey Graves, but I don't know.
Isn't he like 40?
Matt Morgan, I think, is like 35, 36.
Really? I thought he was like 40.
No, I think he's 36.
37. Holy crap. But still, though, I don't know about that.
I'm not feeling it, you know?
Is he even signed to the WWE?
No, but there are rumors that they're trying to work something out.
Sounds like dirt sheet crap, doesn't it?
It does, but something about it I can't shake.
Oh, I'm shaking it, and I'm calling either Corey Graves or Cassius Ohno, who was reportedly in great shape at these last NXT tapings.
Dude, don't tease me that way. If it was the fanboy. He'd beat up the old man running the candy shop, he'd lock him the fuck out, and he'd just stay in there and enjoy everything it had to offer. My freaking taffy. No, Cassius Ohno would be freaking awesome.
I'm calling Corey Graves, though. And I know most people, for some reason, and I don't understand this, but a lot of people really do not like Corey Graves, like, at all. And I don't mean in a heel way, I mean in an X-Pac way. I mean, like I said, I'm on Reddit all the time. Every single week in the NXT thread, it's, oh, there's Corey Graves on my screen. Time to turn it off. Or all Corey does is hold up his knuckles. Or just random crap like this. And here I am marking out to this guy because he's got some kind of charisma that I see that apparently nobody else on Reddit does. And I seriously, sincerely think that he is going to be the next Paul Heyman guy for 3 reasons. First of all, he looks and acts like a Paul Heyman guy. He isn't going with the grain. Everything about him is different. Different haircut, different tattoos, different everything. Different walk, different freaking ring attire. The guy wears suspenders to the ring, for God's sakes. He's different. That's a Paul Heyman attribute. Number 2, he's really good friends with CM Punk in the backstage. Just so you guys know. He's in tight with that whole crew. Punk, Cabana, Compton, Corey Graves, a.k.a. Sterling James Keenan, for those of you who didn't know. I would hope you did if you had any interest in the subject, but if you don't, now you do. And number 3, they keep on saying stay down. Heyman and Axel both constantly yelling at Punk, "Stay down!" That's freaking tattooed on Corey Graves' knuckles. It's half his gimmick. It's gotta be him. If there is a new Heyman guy debuting at Night of Champions tonight, I am all chips in Corey Graves. It's gonna be him.
That analysis was so brilliant that when unfortunately I believe it's going to be proven wrong, and when that happens, I'm tempted to take a handkerchief and use it for the both of us, because you really just sold me on Corey Graves. Here's why
what it's worth, I don't think anyone is actually gonna debut. I just think
really
that when Heyman are gonna pull their typical crap and get away with it. But if somebody does show up as a new Heyman guy, he's my pick.
Okay, here's why I do believe somebody's going to debut. This is great discussion right here. Heyman is so desperate, dude.
Yep.
Like, the 5 o'clock shadow, the red eyes, the fatigue.
Constantly looking like he just got done crying for an hour.
No, dude, they wouldn't be selling Heyman's fear that much if Heyman wasn't in the end going to have an ace in the hole.
Right.
Because when men are that desperate, think about when Vince McMahon was pitted against The Undertaker in a Buried Alive match at Survivor Series. Like, he was losing his damn mind. There was one segment where he goes to Paul Heyman, who was GM at the time, ironically enough, and he's like, I need you to send terrorists to bomb The Undertaker's house, and I need you to send a motorcycle gang to rape his wife and kidnap his... Like, this was on SmackDown. And I'm thinking, like, wow, he has lost it. In the end, McMahon gets the beating of his life, but Kane interferes and costs Undertaker the matchup, ace in the hole. What's probably going to happen here, for my money, is that Punk will get his retribution on Heyman, but he won't win. And there is a distinct difference.
Yep.
He will beat down Heyman, he will brutalize Heyman, he will take his time, and right as he's about to go for that final GTS in the cover, maybe we get a blackout, maybe we get somebody just running through the crowd and then is behind Punk, whatever the case. Your analysis, again, of Corey Graves is brilliant, and after that, I wouldn't mind Corey Graves. Just something about Cassius Ohno, though. His look, how he carries himself, he seems
Dude,
like a
you know
better
what?
fit for
You're a lot more... I think I might just be sold on Corey Graves because of the Knuckles thing, because of the stay down, they constantly say it. But the more I think about it, I've almost convinced myself out of Corey Graves, just because the more I think about it, it's like, if you have an ace in the hole, it's not going to be some 6'1", 215-pound guy from friggin' Pittsburgh. It's going to be a big son of a gun that can knock someone out. So, while I still don't frickin' believe it's going to be Matt Morgan, because that, again, sounds a lot like dirt sheet crap.
I hope
Cassius
so.
Ohno's a solid 6'5". He's known as that young knockout kid. Of course, that makes sense. He could bully Punk. That makes sense. The other option, though, that we are completely overlooking is just the freaking return of Brock.
But that to me won't happen only because with Brock's contract deal and how he is, they're not going to risk not advertising a Brock Lesnar appearance and do.
Oh, you know what? You're right. So it comes down to Graves or Ohno, and to me, I would love for it to be Graves, but as far as making sense, yeah, Ohno makes more sense.
I'm a
Graves mark, man.
I know, and I'm an Ohno mark. So that's interesting because I'm not a mark for Graves ever since Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. What are you gonna do? Arm drag me?
With Ohno, yeah.
A man after my own heart. But Ashton, let me just paint this image for you. Heyman is beaten down. Maybe we'll even get a little bit of blood in there. You don't know. Heyman and Punk seem to have a lot of creative control. Maybe they really want to sell this thing. He's got Heyman slumped on his shoulders. The crowd is ravenous. They have wanted Punk to get this for the longest time. He turns around, meets a spinning elbow to the face. Heyman falls on top of him for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Paul Heyman and Curtis Axel have trumped over CM Punk. Beautiful. It's beautiful. And to me, Cassius Ohno and CM Punk could have some great matches on pay-per-view. And what really makes me confident that it's going to be a new guy and all this, we already gave that analysis, but that memo that Triple H gave the longest time ago, you do not bring anybody up unless you've got something for them to do.
Yep.
I'm actually, simply for the aftermath, I'm looking forward to this match. Curtis Axel really has contributed nothing to me. I think it's a travesty he's not even defending his championship.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Curtis Axel is the Intercontinental Champion, and it's Night of Champions, and he's in a handicap match where he's on the team that has more guys. I mean, you told me earlier that there was some kind of a contest going on where people had to vote on which team would win between the team of Samoa Joe and Curtis Axel and the team of Kane and who else was it?
Bobby Roode.
Bobby Roode. And what did I say, John? I said, oh, so basically it's a handicap match. Kane and Bobby Roode versus Samoa Joe. Curtis Axel is useless. He does nothing. I don't even care if he's the quote-unquote Heyman guy. I'm convinced he's a freaking rib from Creative on Heyman.
And
Here, we can't figure out what to do with this guy. You make him Heyman. We don't know what the flip we're doing with him.
And Heyman has even said in promos, like, how bad is that for Axel? Like, in promos, that CM Punk is going to get to him. And why do we know this?
Because he's going to get through Curtis Axel with no real struggle.
Because Kofi Kingston got through Curtis Axel twice.
Yeah.
In fact, if you want to even talk the context of the pay-per-view, Ashton, just a few weeks ago, when we had the whole kendo stick segment, who did Punk beat to get to that segment? Curtis Axel, because if he beat Axel, he was going to get Heyman in the ring. So, technically speaking, we've already kind of seen this match in one way. I mean, not as we're getting it at Night of Champions.
But you know what? Here's my thing. Why is this even an elimination match? It doesn't matter if Punk beats one of them. It's not like they're going to leave just because they're eliminated. If and when Punk pins Curtis Axel, nobody actually believes that he's going to stick around while Punk beats on his freaking manager.
Punk may neutralize him somehow. I wouldn't be surprised.
What's he going to do? Handcuff him? That's a heel move. Punk's not... Well, he is a...
He's a desperate man.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm looking far more to this match now,
This is the match that I'm looking most forward to. And it is 100% on Punk's end. Because, you know, I was just talking earlier. It was either earlier this morning or last night. Yeah, Friday night, SmackDown. I was just saying, I think that CM Punk's gimmick literally is just Wolverine. Like, he has the chops, he has the anger, he has the constantly making references to ripping and slashing and gutting Paul Heyman. I think that he is just, his character is Wolverine now. It's that simple.
I have loved the mic work that these two have done together. Like, remove Curtis Axel, and you really do have a beautiful feel. Like, their first promo post Money in the Bank, to me, I almost loved it more. The only reason Punk's like work shoot promo is better is because there was genuine anger there. But
right.
Man, was this a thing. I'm gonna burn down everything around you until you're the last man. And I'm like, oh,
see, and that reminds me of something. That reminds me of something that frickin' Wolverine in the movies would have said to, I don't remember his name, but the guy that gave him the metal claws.
I can't remember his name either, and I'm an X-Men,
well,
at least 90s X-Men.
It doesn't matter what his name is. People that have seen the movie will know the reference, and they'll get what we're talking about, and most likely they'll agree because it makes sense.
You've got me far more interested in this match now thanks to this discussion. I think we're going to see a new debut, and Heyman prevails, but man, when Punk finally breaks his face, it's going to be a thing of beauty. Man, I'm pumped now.
Dude, I got to admit, I was worried that Cassius Ohno wouldn't even debut in this calendar year. Like, I was worried that he would end up being the Raw after WrestleMania 30 debut rather than leading up to it. Like, I thought that he would be in the frickin' Cesaro spot rather than the Shield spot, where Shield debuted at Survivor Series and they got hot and they had their WrestleMania match, whereas Cesaro debuted the night after WrestleMania. You know what I mean? So I was convinced that Ono would be in the night after WrestleMania. Now that I'm hearing these reports that he was in great shape at the NXT taping, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it was his last taping. Maybe he's done at NXT and he's coming up. And that's my golf clap to you, because you have done a great job of convincing me that it's going to be Cassius Ohno, as much as I would love to see Corey Graves.
You know what? You had more, I have to confess, you were far more optimistic about the Cassius Ohno situation than I was, because when I heard why Ohno was originally being held back, I'm like, no, that is not good. They hate people like you. You need to, like, kick yourself in the ass and get in gear, because they're like, you're not in TV shape. Like, Bray Wyatt can get away with it because he's legitimately, like, he's a big dude.
He's a super heavyweight.
He's a super heavyweight. There's no excuse. Go to the gym. And I'm like, do not do this to me, Chris Hero. Do not do this to me, Cassius Ohno. Because I met him at Force One. It seemed like a great guy. Seemed so passionate about it. I'm like, dude, I want to see you in WWE. And then when I read this, I'm like, why? Why are you doing this to yourself? So when I read that, I let out the biggest sigh of relief. And now we're potentially looking at Night of Champions where he debuts. This guy.
How nice would that be? It's one of those things where, like, I made my frickin' NXT, my first ever NXT Superstar Spotlight because it was after FCW had become NXT, and it was the first one that I did after that. And that was almost a year ago. That was a year ago, come to think of it. That was, I want to say that was September 7th or something like that. And it's like now, full circle, possibly being a big debut on Night of Champions pay-per-view. So
if he debuts at Night of Champions, let me tell you this right now, he will be my favorite upstart heel on the roster. Like you.
Oh, way better than Curtis Axel. Are you kidding me?
Dude, buy him. In fact, you know what? Because I don't want Heyman's Dangerous Alliance to get like too crowded, even though this would be 3 guys, which I guess would be ideal. I almost hope that they excommunicate Curtis Axel for his failures.
I'd be okay with that.
And Ono takes his spot, which may even result in a Curtis Axel face turn, which honestly I'm not totally opposed to.
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I like the idea because it's like Curtis Axel can't hold off CM Punk, but guess who can?
There's no place for you anymore, Axel. You failed, well, really, if we want to be technical, so many times, even counting the Kofi Kingston losses, right. and Heyman likes a winner. Cassius Ohno, I hope he debuts now. Like, got me so hyped. It's going to be great.
You know what I want to see? I want to see that happen, and then Heyman go into the back and convince Triple H or Brad Maddox or whoever needs convincing that Curtis Axel needs to defend his Intercontinental title now, and then Kofi.
Yes, do it. Oh man, you might as well just spray paint a $sign on Cassius Ohno's chest, because to me that kid is money.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Right. We're gushing. So let's since that was, I saved that last intentionally for second last. I should have saved it for last because this next match we're not going to have nearly as much discussion about. It's pretty much a hook, line, and sinker. We know what's going to happen. But the match is going to be good. Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton, WWE title match. I'm pretty sure we both agree Orton retains somehow, some way.
Yes.
Why are you so depressed about this? We finally have good heels.
No, I'm not depressed, but there's something I need to ask you, and I think that's how we'll start the discussion. Okay, Orton retains. We agree on this. I believe it was giving a shout-out to our friend Abel here, because he brought this point up to me.
Speaking of which, I know you're watching the video. Is it Abel or Abel?
Please answer that. Yeah, I don't know. So if you could answer that for us, I'd greatly appreciate it, because I don't want to mispronounce your name because you're awesome. But he brought this up to me. I believe it was him anyway. If Orton wins, which, again, we agree that he will, what logic is it that Daniel Bryan would even be in the position to get another chance? The corporation does not like him. So even to say, oh, Bryan, we'll stack the deck, and if you can beat the Shield, you'll get another chance. Like, why even take that risk?
Here's the thing. This is a prediction video, and even though it's supposed to be specifically for Night of Champions, I'm going to take it ahead a little bit.
Okay.
I think Orton retains at Night of Champions, and then at Battleground, Randy Orton versus Big Show.
Okay.
And Daniel Bryan is in some kind of a match. You know what? We'll do this. 3-on-1 elimination handicap match against the Shield. And if Daniel Bryan wins, he gets a Hell in a Cell match with Randy Orton at Hell in a Cell.
Those two inside the cell would be epic.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's the next pay-per-view, Hell in a Cell, right after Battleground. Orton retains against Big Show. No problem. It's Big Show. He's a freaking softie when he's a babyface.
Right. I mean, Orton has beaten Show before.
Daniel Bryan puts on a freaking half-hour clinic with the Shield, comes out scratching and clawing at the top, gets his shot at Hell in a Cell, in the freaking cell, and finally wins the title after all that struggle. And then Survivor Series, we have a 4-on-4 or a 5-on-5 match for maybe control of the company? I don't know. Something like that.
I read one report that this feud may go on till January. So if Bryan...
be okay with that as long as they can keep it fresh. If they don't keep doing the same thing every week, like I love the build-up because it seemed like every week Bryan was getting beat up and he couldn't get anything. But every week he got one little step higher. After the first week where he got friggin' dominated by the Shield, where, you know what, people don't remember this because they refused to, but that first week when he got beat up by the Shield, he was beating them up until Roman Reigns caught him from behind with the spear, and then he got in the ring, got RKO'd. But then it seemed like every week after that, he got a little tiny bit back. And next thing you know, This past Monday Night Raw, he closes the show out on top, chanting yes with the whole crowd, over as ever, and now they're going to knock him back down so that they can build him back up. He's going to lose, and then they're going to build him back up.
All anybody needs to do to see how I would love for this to go is look at Jeff Hardy's chase to the championship.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I really want for Daniel Bryan here. The past two times, the first being the Raw and then the second time being just last Friday on SmackDown, Daniel Bryan has come out on top, and I've loved both because it sends a very clear message to anybody that's really been watching. The one time Daniel Bryan overcame Orton on the Raw, which I loved, and he's got the belt in hand. I love when faces do that, when they take the heel championship and they celebrate with it. It just gives me goosebumps. The first time that happened, it was because Sho wouldn't comply, so the playing field was leveled because Sho wasn't having it, and Bryan was able to nail that beautiful knee to the face.
Yeah, that's a great finisher for him, man. I'm glad he finally adopted an Impact finisher.
My favorite finisher right now. Really, it used to be the RKO because of the suddenness. No, that knee has taken its place. I love it.
Nice. I still prefer the RKO, but that's just because that can get hit out of anywhere, whereas with the knee, he kind of has to line the guy up and then get the running start. But regardless, still solid number 2 or 3 behind the RKO and maybe another move or so.
Yeah, I used to be a multi-time world champion, then I took a knee to the face. So we have that, and then you have SmackDown with the cutting edge. And I love it because Orton is in control at first. He glances at Edge. I loved how they did this, Ashton, because he glances at Edge for like 2 seconds, not even. And Bryan hooks in the yes lock. This, to me, sends 2 very clear messages, one of which commentary has been kind of hammering in, that if Bryan has an even playing field, he can beat Randy Orton. And 2, they talk about the fighting spirit and stuff like that, but to me, it's like you can't even take your eye off Daniel Bryan for 1 second. Because that's all he needs. Like, all Randy Orton did was glance over at Edge, and the next thing, he's got his arm trapped between Bryan's legs, and he's down on the mat, having his neck bent back, and he's tapping out. It sends a really great message. I remember writing in to a columnist on one of the wrestling websites, and I said, this storyline is so important, because Cena's gone. We don't have that pillar of strength. And Sheamus. We don't have those pillars of strength, but even more so John Cena because he is the guy.
He's the guy that they rely on for ratings.
Right.
And guess what? Ratings have been going up since he's gone.
Daniel Bryan, he had a segment with The Shield that cracked over 1 million viewers in that quarter.
Increase. 1 million viewer increase. Not just 1 million viewers. 1 million viewer increase over what it was the previous hour.
Exactly. That's mind-boggling. But anyway, the point I wanted to make was Cena's gone, Sheamus is gone, those pillars of strength, of character, the heroes are gone. Daniel Bryan, his size, his story, everything. Any kid can relate to this.
Absolutely.
And that's why I want this storyline to succeed, because this is exactly what I wrote. I said any kid can relate to this. Hell, in my younger years, Ashton, I could relate to it. Being in a public school, with a disability, in those regular classes, wanting to prove things to my classmates, my teachers, everybody, and scratching a point.
You were not the weak link.
I was not the weak link. I identify so much with Daniel Bryan. I think anybody in any age group, though I'm specifically saying kids, can identify with Daniel Bryan. That's why the payoff is going to be so beautiful. Anybody that's saying Bryan's getting buried or beaten down too much, let me tell you something. This is life, what's happening right now. What we're saying on a very, macrocosmic scale, on a very dramatized scale, this is life that we're seeing. How many times do we see that we apply for that job and we don't get it? Or maybe there's that girl we chase and she's into somebody else, or even something even more dramatic, a death in the family, anything. But you claw back, you pick yourself back up, and you go after what you want. And this is better than Rocky. This is better than all those things because it's avoiding the cheesy cliches and it's just focusing on one simple fact. He wants it bad enough. I love the line on the cutting edge when he said, ever since I was a little kid, all I dreamed about was holding that, and my dream comes true this Sunday. And I live off of that stuff. That's why I was the biggest Chris Benoit fan alive, because when he was world, that's all he ever wanted was to be world champion. And I'll never forget, he was talking to Maven, anybody who remembers him, the very first Tough Enough winner, and he had a chance to compete for the world title. And he looks at Chris and he says,
"Didn't he own a victory over the Undertaker?"
He did, for the Hardcore Championship, and he eliminated him from the Royal Rumble. And Benoit looks at him and he's like, I've been doing this for 18 years. It's not about the money, the cars, the women. It's about the passion. And oh, God, I love baby faces like that. Love baby faces like that, because those are the real heroes. And I'm not saying Cena isn't like that, but they make much better heroes to me than John Cena.
Right.
Because you can see the hurt and the agony and the loss and the
Right,
struggle
and you know
in their
what?
eyes.
And what's so great is that with this hero, there's actually an obstacle.
Yes.
It's not because that's the thing that everyone, including myself, dislikes about what the WWE does with John Cena. They build up this big character just for him to knock him down. They build up this great heel. Mark Henry cuts this amazing retirement speech just to get revenge on John Cena, and he knocks him down in one match. John Cena doesn't overcome anything because there are no real odds with John Cena. With Daniel Bryan, we have odds. With Daniel Bryan, we have an obstacle. And with Daniel Bryan, he actually needs to struggle to overcome it. Now, I'm not saying that it's because of Daniel Bryan or because of John Cena, but for some reason, the WWE refuses to book John Cena the way that they're booking Bryan right now.
I don't know what, and that's why I'm happy for Orton right now, too. And I want to talk about Orton in a second. But that's why I'm happy for Orton, because even with Orton, that he did the mid-card feuds with the likes of Barrett, had a few matches with Cesaro, Santa, all these guys. Cena's never gotten that chance. You can make the argument that the only time he's really done it recently was his feud with Dolph Ziggler over the SmackDown Money in the Bank briefcase. But even that, did Dolph really come out smelling like roses too much? He beat Cena in a ladder match thanks to AJ interference. And it was a great win, but to me, Dolph deserved better in the course of that feud. I don't know why WWE is so scared to either relegate John Cena, or even more so, if you don't want to relegate him because of who he is. I can understand that, but for God's sakes,
you don't even need to relegate him. You don't need to. Just give him something to fight for rather than just winning all the time. And we're straying extremely off topic here.
But I think it's important.
At the end of the day, it comes down to, if I were a hypocrite, I would be happy if Daniel Bryan won this match.
Right.
Hypocrites will be extremely excited if Daniel Bryan, and you know what, we'll be excited, but in the aftermath, I know that I'll look back on it and be, man, that was stupid.
Right,
Because
and me as well.
The whole idea is you want them to build this struggle. You don't want the babyface to overcome the heel the first time he tries, or the first time he gets an actual shot, because then if you beat him, why are you going to face him again? Where's the struggle? You already proved that you're better than him, so what's the point?
This may come off very awkward in commentary, but I want the win to make me cry. That's what I want WWE to aim for. My tears, my emotions. I want them to reach an emotional pinnacle with me as a viewer. You're not there yet. You're in a great place, but long
term over short term. I want them to make me angry and sad in the short term so that I can be happy in the long term.
Exactly. I want to spring those tears of joy. And Ash, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm just going to say it right now, and I'm only saying it because, again, we've been using the word, report a lot. I read yet another report. I want Shawn Michaels involved in this feud somehow. I want to see him get involved because he was Bryan's mentor and because he's Triple H's best friend. I feel like he could be an invaluable asset to this feud going forward. Maybe around Hell in a Cell, if it all pans out like you say it will, and it could be Bryan's big last chance they get Shawn Michaels in there. I think he would be.
And then he turns on him.
What a troll move.
Shawn Michaels, special guest referee, Hell in a Cell match, book it. That's all he does anymore. He's just Hell in a Cell special guest referee every time he shows up.
And he said, I nailed that sweet chin music because it's what was good for business.
Yep. Oh, that would be hilarious. Oh.
Corporation X.
Now you know we're getting off topic. Okay.
But yeah, no, just really putting that out there, I do think Shawn Michaels should have a hand. In all seriousness, because of the history he has with both men, I think he could be an invaluable asset and really build up that emotional struggle. But primarily, on Bryan's end, he's done an amazing job. So happy for Orton that he gets this heel reign. A little bit wary because he has 2 strikes, but Orton said in an interview today, this is his chance to really prove to all of us that he's wizened up, he's matured, he's ready for this spot. So I hope he can prove it to me. I'm just really excited for this match.
Yep, absolutely. Should be good. We're both calling Orton to retain, not necessarily win, because he might just retain via disqualification. But we're both calling Orton to retain. That's everything. John, do you have anything left to say, or are we closing out?
Nothing left to say in regards to Night of Champions predictions. We ran down the card. Again am excited for the show. Ashton's really got me excited now for the handicap matchup between Heyman and Axel versus CM Punk. Hopefully the debut of Ono. Oh man, our reactions are going to be epic.
All right, well here just to kind of give everyone a rundown. Tag Team Turmoil, we both picked PTP to win. Tag Team Championship match, you picked PTP to win the titles. I picked Shield to retain. United States Championship match, we both picked Ambrose to retain. Divas title match, you picked AJ Lee, I picked Natalya. World Heavyweight Championship match, you picked Del Rio, I picked RVD, only to lose it soon after to Damian Sandow. Handicap elimination match, did we even really pick this? I think we're both pretty much in agreement that Punk is going to win the first fall and then probably a disqualification on the second fall.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, WWE title match, Randy Orton retains by any means possible. Kind of official predictions that aren't necessarily already advertised are the debut of either Cassius Ohno or Corey Graves as the new Heyman guy. I think that's about it.
Yeah, that
pretty much sums it up, brother. Yeah.
Well, you guys will hear from us again when I post our live reactions after the pay-per-view Sunday night. Have fun.
All right, take care, guys. Peace.